You know, you mentioned AI and mentoring. I have to admit, those two things didn't exactly spring to mind right away. But
Real.
then I started digging into this book by Dr. Hossein Mokhtarzadeh
Okay.
called AI as Mentor.
Yeah.
And whoa, it really got me thinking differently about what AI can do for us, like right now, not in some sci-fi future.
Yeah, it really opens your eyes to the possibilities, doesn't it? This whole idea of AI as like a tool for personal growth.
Absolutely. And, Dr. Mokhtarzadeh, he doesn't just talk the talk. He actually used AI
Yeah.
to track his own medical recovery.
Yeah, it's incredible, right?
He even used it to analyze, like, photos of his healing tongue.
He really dove deep into it.
Talk about dedication to the topic.
I mean, that's commitment.
But it sounds like he's not saying we should all ditch our doctors and just start using algorithms.
Oh, absolutely not. In the book, he's very clear that AI, in this case, gave him like interesting insights and helped him understand the healing process better. But it was still crucial for him to talk to his doctor, for diagnosis and treatment.
So it's more like AI working alongside human expertise rather than replacing it.
Yeah, like a partnership.
Kind of how we're using these sources today to guide our deep dive. But you're here to, like, help me connect the dots.
Exactly. It's all about leveraging AI as a tool to understand things better,
Yeah.
enhance our decision making, not like handing over control completely.
Makes sense.
Right.
So let's dive into this whole idea of AI as a mentor. I mean, we're not talking about some robot buddy giving out life advice, are we?
Right. It's a little more sophisticated than that. Dr. Mokhtarzadeh talks about how we usually think of a mentor as someone who guides us based on their own experiences, right? AI can be similar, but instead of drawing on personal experiences, it taps into this massive amount of data and perspectives.
So it's like having access to a room full of advisors, each with their own unique take on things,
Precisely.
like a mega think tank at your fingertips.
Exactly. I think of it as having a brainstorming partner on call 24/7. Someone to help you see the big picture. Maybe strategize solutions to challenges, even spark new ideas you might have never considered.
It's like that saying, if you only have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. AI is like having a whole toolbox. And the book actually goes into some really cool techniques for using AI as a mentor.
Oh, yeah.
One that jumped out at me was this explore and improve method.
Oh, that's a great one.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah, it's such a simple framework, but it's incredibly powerful.
What's it all about?
So imagine you have a goal. Could
Yeah.
be anything, learning a new skill, finally writing that screenplay you've been putting off.
Okay.
You start by asking the AI for guidance, almost like you're asking a mentor. Where do I even begin with this?
So, like, I'm picturing myself finally tackling that novel I've been putting off.
Okay.
Could I be like, all right, AI mentor me in writing this novel? I'm really drawn to historical fiction, but I always get stuck on, like, the whole world building part.
Exactly. You could totally say something like that.
And then what? The AI just generates a whole plot and everything?
Not quite. It might give you some resources like on researching the specific time period you're interested in, or it might offer some creative prompts to get you thinking about societal structures, you
Yeah,
know?
I see.
But Dr. Mokhtarzadeh really emphasizes that you're the one doing the work. The AI is more like a thought partner.
So it's about getting unstuck, seeing things from a fresh perspective. What happens when I've actually written something?
That's where the improve part comes in. You take what you've written back to the AI, could be an outline, a scene, even just a character description, and you ask for feedback.
That's a little scary, though, isn't it? It's like having AI judge your creative baby.
It can be a little nerve-wracking, which is why Dr. Mokhtarzadeh talks about how to phrase your requests carefully.
Oh, okay.
Instead of asking, is this any good? Which is super subjective. You could ask something like, how can I make this character's motivations more compelling? Or, is the pacing off in this scene?
So it's like having an editor who can zero in on areas that need work,
Yeah, exactly.
but you're still the one making the final call.
Right, you're in the driver's seat. And this explore and improve method, it's not just for creative stuff either. He gives examples of how you could use it for learning to code or even managing projects at work.
I bet you could use it to train for a marathon.
There you go.
Hey, AI, help me create a training plan that factors in my deep love of pizza, but also my goal of not, like, collapsing at mile 20.
Exactly. It's all about using AI as a personalized tool.
This is definitely making AI seem less intimidating and a lot more user-friendly. I like it. But I do have to ask, are there any downsides to all of this?
That's a really important question, and it's something Dr. Mokhtarzadeh talks about directly. He's very upfront about the fact that AI, especially right now, it's not some kind of magic solution. It's a tool, and like any tool, it has limitations.
Okay, so what are some of those limitations?
Well, one thing is that AI can only work with the information it's been trained on, you know?
Right.
It's learning and growing all the time, but there will always be gaps in its knowledge.
So if I'm trying to write that novel, but it's set in a totally made-up world, the AI might not be as helpful as if I were writing about, say, the French Revolution.
Exactly. And even then, its understanding of the French Revolution would depend on the data it's been fed, which may or may not be completely accurate or tell the whole story.
Right.
It's important to remember that AI can reflect the biases and blind spots of the data it learns from.
That's a really good point. So we
Yeah.
still have to be careful about the information it gives us.
Yeah.
We can't just accept it as gospel truth.
Absolutely. Dr. Mokhtarzadeh compares it to using a GPS. It can be super helpful for getting around, but it's not perfect.
I see what you mean.
You still need to pay attention to what's around you. Use your own judgment and be ready to adjust course if you need to.
That's a great analogy. So it sounds like AI can be amazing for learning and growing, but it's not going to replace our own critical thinking skills.
Exactly. If anything, it makes those skills even more important.
And that actually leads to something else. Dr. Mokhtarzadeh emphasizes the human element.
Oh, absolutely.
AI can give us insights and guidance, but it's that human connection,
Yeah.
the empathy and understanding a real person can offer that really makes the mentoring experience special.
I completely agree. There's something about connecting with another person that just hits differently.
So are you saying the future of mentorship is kind of a hybrid model, combining AI insights with that human touch?
I think that's definitely a possibility and a really exciting one. Imagine having access to both AI-powered tools for personalized learning and experienced human mentors who can offer support and encouragement.
It's like having the best of both worlds. Speaking of exciting possibilities, Dr. Mokhtarzadeh also talks about this really interesting concept of agent-based AI mentorship. Have you gotten to that part yet?
Yeah, it's toward the end of the book, and it's definitely one of the most thought-provoking ideas.
So we're not just talking about an AI that helps me organize my calendar, but one that's actually out there doing things for me.
It's kind of like that Dr. Mokhtarzadeh describes a future where these AI agents could handle tasks like, researching companies before a job interview or drafting emails or even representing us in virtual meetings.
Wait, representing us in meetings. Like I'm at home in my pajamas, but my AI is out there being super professional on my behalf.
Yeah, that's the basic idea. Of course, we're not quite there yet technologically, but it's pretty wild to think about what that could mean for the future of work. Like how we delegate tasks and even what it means to be present professionally.
It's like having a little version of yourself out there in the digital world, taking care of things you might not have time for.
Exactly. And Dr. Mokhtarzadeh points out this could be especially helpful for people who maybe have accessibility challenges or need help navigating difficult situations.
I see.
Like he gives the example of an AI agent that helps someone with social anxiety prepare for and participate in meetings so they can make sure their voice is heard.
That's amazing. It really shows how AI could help create a more inclusive and fair playing field for everyone. But of course, there are concerns too, right? Like, what about privacy? What if the AI makes a mistake?
Those are all really important questions, and Dr. Mokhtarzadeh definitely addresses them. He's a big believer that as we explore this agent-based future, we need to create clear ethical guidelines and safety measures.
Makes sense.
We have to make sure these AI agents are working in our best interests with our permission and in a way that aligns with our values.
It seems like the key takeaway here is that AI has incredible potential as a tool for growth, but it's not about just handing over control. We need to be smart about it, understand its limits, and use it in a way that benefits us.
Exactly. It's about empowering ourselves, not replacing ourselves.
Well said. And that actually brings us back to a question from Dr. Mokhtarzadeh's book. If you could delegate any task in your life to an AI agent, what would it be? I think our listeners will have some very interesting answers to that.
I'm sure they will. It really gets you thinking about what's important to you and what aspects of your life you'd be okay sharing with an AI.
It's definitely a future full of possibilities, some pretty mind-blowing ones at that. A huge thank you to Dr. Mokhtarzadeh for taking us on this deep dive into the future of mentorship. And to everyone listening, we want to hear from you. Head to our social media and tell us what task you would delegate to an AI agent. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.